I got added to a text thread of a group of high school students who were planning their prom day together, and I knew that I should have texted them back and said, hey guys, sorry, wrong number. But also they were so entertaining and I couldn't afford Netflix at the time, so I just stayed on the thread. Because what was happening was Brandon didn't want to help pay for the limo, and Kelly said, tough nuts, you already committed to helping pay for the limo. And he said, but I just quit my job. And she was like, well, I already put down the deposit on the limo, so you better find a way to Venmo me. And he said, I told you I don't have the money. And she was like, better ask your daddy then. And I was like, damn, Kelly. And then Tanisha and Jason broke up like a week before prom, and we all were like, oh no, how is this going to affect our group dynamic? And then they got back together 3 days before, and we were so happy for them. But then it all got ruined because Tanisha texted us the day before prom, and she was like, hey, can somebody text Eric and make sure that he gets to the docks at this address at this time tomorrow, because he doesn't seem to be getting these messages for some reason. And the thread went silent, and I wanted to show up to the docks in a formal gown, but I was scared of Kelly.
I'm about to tell you the crazy love story because it's mine. This is how I met my husband. In 2011, what a great year, because 2020 is crazy. We were all going to a youth convention. So many churches from different states were there. And we're all praising Jesus. We're like, yeah, get it, Jesus, get it. And for some reason, my friend got really crunk. So while we're all dancing, hallelujah, my friend literally goes, blah. His brother was right behind us. She literally smacked him straight in the cheek. This dude fell to the ground. Like, bah. Straight to the ground. In that same moment, because he fell down to the ground, there was an opening. And I like to imagine that there was a light directly shining on me because I'm cute or whatever. Because in that same moment, Jacob turned this way and saw me. So basically, my friend did God's work by removing whatever was in front of him so he could see his future wife. So when he saw me, he was like, dang, she looked good. He asked me to walk me to my seat, and I was kind of confused because he asked me in Spanish, so I was trying to make sure he didn't want me for my papers. I'm just kidding. But he got my phone number. He says I was the first girl he ever asked to get her number, and we've been together since then.
Story time about how my mom planned to kill me. Yes, I said my mother. So a little background information, I was 16 years old and I was in 11th grade. Now, it's not like my mom hated me my whole life, because there was a time whenever she was super happy and she did really love me. Well, it all started whenever my dad had left her. She went into this deep depression. She quit her job. She wouldn't get out of bed in the morning. She stopped cooking, stopped cleaning. And she always blamed me because she thought it was my fault that our dad left. When in reality, my dad still texts me all the time asking how I'm doing. All of a sudden, a flip switch, my mom started cooking again, going to work. I never really ate her food because it low-key looked weird. But one day I came home from school and saw her putting rat poison in my food. And I wish I was kidding. So I said hi, but she didn't answer me. So I tapped her on the shoulder. She turned around and put a knife up to my neck. I ran out the door, called the police. They arrested her, and now I am happily living with my father.
When I was younger, we had this older cousin living with us. She was so lazy. All she would do is watch novelas all day while taking care of us. And then she would force us to do the chores around the house, so it looked like she would do something. So one day we were like, nah, fam, we finna stand up to her. We've had enough. So the next time she told us to do the chores, we're like, nope, we don't want to do it. She's like, oh, really? She poured so much rice on the floor, made us kneel down on top of the rice, put books over our head for hours. Literally, my knees bled. She got dragged. Let me start off by saying my cousin was over the age of 18, a whole adult, living in our house for free. All she had to do is clean and take care of us. But instead, she would be watching Rebelde or something. Let me show y'all how it kind of looked like. Honestly, this looks kind of fun, but it wasn't. Because we were kneeling down on rice. My kneecaps ended up looking like this. My tia is a woman of God. But since she did that to me and to her son, my tia rocked her. It was a full-on brawl, and I think it was good because my mom isn't confrontational. Like, who does that to like 5 and 6 year olds? So after my tia rocked her, my mama kicked her out. The trauma was real. I don't be looking at rice the same no more.
When I was in high school, a teacher was like, Kate Smith, I need to see you after class. And I said, am I in trouble? And he was like, only a little bit. And then I went to his desk after class. Everybody else had left. And he pushed a document across the desk. And he said, this document that I sent home for your mother to sign very clearly has her forged signature on it by you. And I was like... And then he said, I could lose my job if I don't send you a fresh form to have your mother actually sign this time. And I said, okay. So I went home and I got my mother's signature, and then I brought it back in. And then he had saved the old document and he put the documents next to each other. And he said, now for the future, this is how I caught you. And this is what you should do next time to not get caught. And then he taught me how to forge my own mother's signature and suggested that I practice.
Get your snacks, because this finna be a good story time. So my cousin and I decided to take our vehicles to the car wash. The problem is that the car washes in the hood are a little bit different. It's best that you go during the day. But as we were talking too much and it took us forever to leave, and we go around like 8:30, almost 9 o'clock. By the time we're getting there, I haven't even parked yet, and I got a couple crackheads knocking on my window. They're like, oh my gosh, you're too beautiful to wash your own car. Side note, if you got low self-esteem, go to a ghetto car wash. Them crackheads, though, they'll make you feel special. So as I'm washing my truck before I get kidnapped here, you'll hear me. So this crackhead is trying to talk to me. He says a bunch of stuff. I really don't even know what he was saying. But then he goes say, I know I'm black, but I need love. Like, baby, ain't nobody talking about you being black. I don't have no problem when you being black. I just feel like I could wash my own vehicle. He's like, well, okay then. Just don't call the KKK on me. Baby, what? Why would I do that? I ain't trying to die too. And he gonna turn around, raise his hands up to the sky and be like, God, why? Man's was calling out to the universe. Not a minute passes by when a pharmacist shows up, if you know what I mean.
Story time about the girl who was weirdly obsessed with my best friend. So a little background information, I was 14 and in 9th grade, and I went to a private school, so there was only one class per grade. So my best friend and I were in class together, and we're gonna call her Bella. And then there was this girl, Gabby, who had kind of been friends with for almost a year. Well, Gabby was a whore for popularity. Like anything that the popular kids would ask her to do, she would get on her hands and knees and do it. This woman did not care. Well, we had a project working up, so all three of us decided to work on it together. So I invited them over my house, and Gabby said that she needed to use the bathroom. So Bella offered to show her where the bathroom was. Probably 3 minutes later, Bella comes running up the stairs like she just saw a ghost. She was telling me that Gabby took all of her clothes off and tried making out with her. Well, that night they both spent the night. And I wake up in the middle of the night to Gabby pinning Bella to the wall trying to kiss her. But I went back to sleep and acted like nothing ever happened. Fast forward, it got to the point where Bella was actually feeling really unsafe, so her parents switched her schools.
My little sister called me while I was driving, so at the end of the conversation, she said, drive safe, don't die, and for some reason, I was like, what if I did? And she said, excuse me? And I said, what if this was the last time you ever got to talk to me, and then there was a tragic accident, and that was it? What would you do? And I was fishing for some last words of some kind from her, but instead, she immediately said, oh, I would dye my hair blonde and then go on American Idol as you. I'd assume your identity, and that way, I could have a music career as you, but then I could be myself when I wanted a private life. I could be like Hannah Montana, and then when I wanted to retire, I would just go back to being me all the time. And my problem with her answer was that it was so fast. She didn't take time. She wasn't like, ooh, let me think about that and then come up with it. This was a premeditated plan. I said, what would happen if I died today? And she said, don't worry. I've already thought about how I could profit off of your potential death. And now I just I don't want to have sleepovers with her anymore.